Yo. GGP already?
Welcome to the space where the truth gets spoken. Trap snares popping, hands up, energy open. Where the chains get broken and the culture stays golden. We move with grit, say grit. We rise with grace, say grits. We push for progress. Progress. No justice,
No sleep.
snare snapping, keep that bounce alive. Unapologetic, black, unfiltered, unshaken. We the future in motion, history in the making.
Let's go.
Every step, every voice, every beat that we speak. We the rhythm of the people rising week after week. From the block to the ballot, the mic to the streets. We bring fire to the system till the mission's complete. Turn it up, let it hit, let it rise in your chest. This is power, this is purpose, yo, we won't rest. So lean in, tune up, let your spirit digest. This is grit, grace, and progress.
Yeah, feel that.
Hold that, let it settle in your soul.
Grace, power in the place.
Grace and progress, say it.
Grace, power in the place.
Grace and progress, say it. Grace and progress, say it. Grace and progress.
Yo. How y'all doing?
Great.
Justin Ev, how are you?
Doing great. Let's make sure we got y'all on the air. Make sure we got some vocals here coming in. I want to make sure I can hear y'all.
Testing 1, 2.
You know what I'm saying?
Hello.
Make sure we can hear each other on the show.
I like that beat.
You like that? You like
Yeah.
that?
Who's the artist?
It's an AI artist, actually.
It's an AI artist.
AI artist.
He's
wouldn't
not
have-
even real.
The artist is the group is called Mystical Keys. Mystical Keys. So hopefully,
Alrighty.
I'm trying to see now if we on the air live. I'm trying to make sure we there, cause I don't see us there yet. And I want to make sure that we got vocals, we got all that stuff coming in. But in the meantime, you say your weekend, your New Year's and Christmas and all that, your holiday experience, that was all pretty good for you all.
This was
Yes.
a good end.
It
It was
was.
a good end.
It was good.
It was a good end of the year.
Expand.
Yeah.
Give me something. What y'all like? Give me some exciting stuff. What happened with you all?
Well, you know, I'm struggling. I got my grandson living with me, and my wife and I are disabled, and still got my mom and dad. My dad hadn't been out to bed in 3 years,
Right.
so life goes on. We do what we got to do, but we still celebrate each other.
Right.
So I'm enjoying bittersweet living.
Well, the thing about that is we can say that, Greg, you are blessed, still blessed. You know that, right?
Yeah,
So,
Yeah,
like you
no
said, it was a
doubt.
great end. So, what about you,
It is.
Cher? How was your holiday?
Well, it was you feel the aroma of Christmas, but at the same time, in my immediate family, it's all adults.
Mm-hmm.
Christmas is so much different when you have, younger children.
Right.
So we recognize that it's a holiday, but at the same time, it's just the time for us to get together.
Same here.
We're just thankful we're all here and we're able to get together.
I feel the same way. It's like that with us as well. We don't have this big old thing with Christmas and all that stuff. But it's like I went home for my dad's 80th birthday. Praise God for him, reaching 80 years old. Him and my mom are both in good health. And we had a adult gathering, I went to spend time with my son and his family. Then I came home on Christmas Eve, and me and my wife just hung out. So it was like it's still similar to what you're saying. It was just me and my wife here Christmas. It wasn't no kids. It was just me and her. We woke up. But one of the things that we do enjoy is that since I've been in Dallas since 2017, our first year, we just by chance went to Benihana's for Christmas dinner. And the thing about Benihana's is that these here in Plano, Texas, is that a lot of people that show up for breakfast are not local, not native to Dallas. So they're from different places. So when you're sitting down, you meet people from all over the country, and it's been like that for us for what 8, 9 years now. And so for
Wow.
us, that's like a treat for us because you get to meet new people, you know, understand each other's transition, how they relocated to Dallas, and everyone's story is different, And so that's we look forward to that every year because, like I said, it's just meeting new people. We're sociable. We're a sociable couple that'll, like to have good discussions and conversations. And just so happened, this particular group of people we sat with a lot of them were from Cleveland, Ohio, which was amazing. So that was really cool. So that was great.
I imagine.
So
Yeah.
today we're going to jump in. It's an impromptu type of meeting. We're going to jump right into some of the things that happened this year. Now I sent out a little thing here to get some just get some feedback from people about what they thought about 2025. And everyone, this is not a right or wrong. It's everyone's perspective because we all navigate life differently. We're different.
Right.
We're different generations. We're in different. We have different family backgrounds. We have different needs as a household. So it's like, well, how did this uh, year impact you? So the first question I have here is for the year in review. These are just casual talking points. What really started with Sharon? What really defined 2025 for you?
Uncertainty.
Uncertainty.
That with a new administration, there's just so much uncertainty. And me being unemployed, it started in August 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So the 2025 first of the year, most of the time companies are starting a new year, they have their new yearly budgets.
Mm-hmm.
So I just expected a little bit more activity in terms of trying to find employment.
Right.
That did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
I would get calls, I would get Zoom and telephone interviews to go nowhere. I only had one recruiter that would call me every now and then. And usually in the past, I was always at least able to find a temp assignment or a contract
Mm-hmm.
assignment. I have yet to get that. I
Mm-hmm.
do have a call in right now for a company that's looking for somebody to work of just a small time project
Mm-hmm.
for 1099. But after that goes away, it's nothing permanent.
Right.
I would be thankful for it because it would bring some income in. So what it brought to me was uncertainty.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing it brought into me was looking for different ways of bringing in income.
Mm-hmm.
We can no longer depend on employment from corporate America anymore. And people really, really need to explore things that they normally would not consider
Mm-hmm.
in terms of revenue. So that's what I look mostly of is
Mm-hmm.
the uncertainty and a new way of doing things because of the climate we're in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When did it really hit you with the uncertain? Like you said, it started in 2024, but when 2025 hit, where did that resonate with what you were going through in 2024? Where it like hit, like, bow, this is truly it.
W- Once this new administration came in, they didn't waste any time.
Mm-hmm.
They started changes right away,
Mm-hmm.
and they were not good changes. And
Mhm.
it appeared we were going to a more authoritarian type administration,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't slow down. There were no checks and balances. So when that started happening, and you heard of the tariffs that were going to happen, and so I started stockpiling a few necessities um, when I heard that, and so that's when it really hit me
Mm-hmm.
when this administration came in and they started making changes right away. I expected a more subtle change,
Mm-hmm.
a gradual change, but it was just one thing right after the other. And you're like, okay, what's going to happen next?
Mm-hmm. Got you. What about you, Greg? What was your defining? How would you define 2025?
Um, I would define it as FAFO, People messed around and
Yeah.
found out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a
So
good
what
one.
was the
You didn't
first
want
one?
to. You didn't want to believe that the liar in chief would continue to be the liar in chief.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gave him a bye. Everybody, oh well, he just being himself. And my dad, bless his heart, he always told me nothing on TV is real.
Mm-hmm.
What you see and the personality that you saw on TV
Right.
was just made up. You don't really know how crazy people are. And I spent all last year helping my mom care for my dad and answering her questions about, well, why, when are they going to do this and why don't they do that? And I'm like, Mom, they don't care.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place, but God is merciful because He's
Right.
opening my eyes to certain things, and I'm getting a lot more grounding into who I am and understanding my family the way they are,
Mhm.
seeing the benefits of what has allowed me to survive this long. But there's more work to do, and we
So
have to rebuild this democracy.
so when you saw
Let it.
when you said FAFO, when did what was the first FAFO moment that you was like, there it is. That's it.
As soon as he took office, right?
Yeah.
He went to his inauguration, and then the next day, he had 475 executive orders
Mhm.
to sign and put in effect.
Right.
And then everybody that he tried to put in a cabinet space had absolutely no understanding of how to work the places that they were in charge.
Mhm.
And he allowed that foreigner to come in and fire folks and dismantle the whole situation. Because for me, I know that I was not DEI. I was an expert in my field.
Mhm.
And most of the people that got fired, black women
Yeah.
and
300,000.
other folks, they are experts in their field.
Yeah.
The women are the most educated. My mom is an educator.
Yeah.
She's still to this day.
Yeah.
And people have stopped reading. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's why they fool around and find out. Everybody in their feelings about one issue and forgetting that they don't see us as human anyway.
Yeah.
So why did you think you were going to get a break?
Yeah. Definitely. I look at it, you know, I define 2025 as no barriers.
Mhm.
I look at no barriers because, or no guardrails, however you want to say it. As you all both have said, how the administration stepped in and what they did, there was no barriers. It was like, I do what I want to do. But the flip side of that, and we're going to get that a little bit later with freedom of speech or public voice. But I've seen people take their platforms and they're going with no barriers either. They're not being filtered. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, the filter is, I mean, you can look at it from those that will openly criticize the administration. If you notice, the administration only targets certain people, certain
Mm-hmm.
networks, as we know. But when you own your own, he can't do that. So, Roland
Mhm.
Martin got a good platform for that. But we're going to get into some of that a little bit later. But yeah, I like what you got, the points that you guys made, and they were valid because what I hear from you all is that how personal it was. And when it
Mm-hmm.
becomes personal, you then look at society different and you're not passive. You're not passive on how you view government. You're not passive on the moves you need to make as a household. You're more, you're more lined up because you don't know what's coming next. And so you got to be prepared. And as we both, I know all three of us are on the same mindset of preparing for the future. And I say prepare.
Mm-hmm.
When I say prepare, we talk about this all the time. Our circles of community. What circles are community that you're in, and each circle
has a different need that you need as a person. And also those different circles need you for what you got to give. And
So let me touch on this point. Um, in my personal life here, I live in an apartment complex. It used to be a senior citizens building. When the owners decided they didn't want to pay any more money to rejuvenate it, I spent the last 5 years dealing with different property management companies that all wanted to dismantle this and run everybody out. Well, like I said, my wife and I are disabled. We're not going nowhere. It's in our ballpark. But what has happened is I've learned how to build community and get with my neighbors right here in this building. And it doesn't matter what you look like or where you're from. I can speak to you. I can be polite to you. I can help you if you need help. You know, you don't have a car, you don't know your way around the city. You know, that's all I am, is community assistance.
yeah,
And that is what's going to heal us
yeah,
as we quit trying to focus on any one issue.
yeah,
And let's just help feed the hungry, provide place for people to live and some clothes on their back so that they can live a certain. People will go out and work.
yeah,
Not that they don't want to work, it's just that the government keeps you from wanting to be bothered with them.
yeah. Well, that circle you have is, I mean, doing that in your apartment building is that's a needed thing, and that's where I think a lot of communities can have that type of circle where that need of assistance for each other, because that will build that strong community that when something does go down or somebody's power get cut off, for instance, you have built relationships through that assistance with each other, and I think that's what's missing from what we've seen in the past. But to switch gears a little bit, I want you guys to narrow down on a policy that actually changed everyday life for people. Like, how did different communities feel those changes? What? Give me one thing, Greg, that really, like, if that FAFO you talking about, like, give me one policy that actually did that and did it in a major way.
People did not think that the rights that they had could be taken away from them.
Wow.
So when you lost gerrymandering, you lost abortion, you lost the right to vote. These are things that have been fought for, handled, covered, you know, abortion, all of those things. Now they say, we'll let the states take care of it. The states don't. I'm glad I don't live in Alabama, Mississippi,
Right.
and
And
I
they
got
broke.
nothing against those places,
Yeah.
but they're not going to benefit me, at least up here
Yeah.
in Ohio on Lake Erie. I have a voice and I can build and rebuild my community because we kept some of the old school grounding of neighbors
Yeah.
and families.
Yeah.
Know who lives on my left and who's on my right.
Right.
You know, when I do that, I take attention.
Mm-hmm.
So those were the immediate things
Yeah.
that
Those rights.
FAFO, you tried to tell them, get Joe Biden to expand the Supreme Court because this is going to be wild. No,
Yeah.
no, we ain't going to push it that far. We
Yeah.
don't want nobody to do this. And now what do we have?
Yeah. What about you, Sharon? Like, what policy, like, really struck a nerve where you're like, wow, this is changing lives for people?
I think it's the DEI.
Mhm.
What do you call? What word am I looking for? The DEI.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
No, it's the uh
Federal government
rollback. I guess what word
Yeah.
I'm looking for,
Roll
where
it
they
back
rolled
within the
it
government.
back. Right. And so then so many companies had implemented DEI with now let's be real, most of those in corporations was just smoke and mirror. They
Yeah.
weren't really doing anything It
Yeah.
was just the name that they used, little organizations within the corporation that they started,
Yeah.
but it really wasn't meant to be progressive
Right.
in making sure. And well, the thing that gets me now is that we know as people of color, even when it was affirmative action, you just didn't get a job because you
Right,
were black. You
Right.
still had
right.
to be qualified.
Right.
You
You
had to be.
still had to be qualified.
Right.
So it amazes me how they are trying to twist it and make it seem as if people got a job just because they were black. No, you had to be black and qualified.
Right.
So
All day long.
n- then they turn it, and which it has always been the case, where if you were a non-melon type individual, you could get a job and not be qualified,
Mm-hmm.
which is what they're doing now in that
Mm-hmm.
administration.
Yeah.
So it amazed me. It is hilarious that they could try to say that people of color were getting, and white women, let's not leave them out,
Yeah.
because they were part of that DEI
Right.
as initiative as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we had to be qualified, but they don't have to be qualified, and it's so blatant. Everything, and I think that is a big wake up call for a lot of people because they're
Mm-hmm.
so blatant with it now.
Yeah.
In the past, it was more hidden. Now
Right.
it's up front and in your
In your
face.
Yeah.
face.
And so that's the thing. And another thing is, which in a sense, it's a good thing. The sheet has come off now. The face is not hidden.
Right.
The
Yes, they
sheet is,
are. The
we know,
ISIS,
no,
ICE
no, I'm
mask.
not talking about ISIS. I'm talking about the racism. The where they would hide behind the sheet. They would laugh in your face and you would think that they were okay. Not that we ever felt like we could always trust you.
Mm-hmm.
But now they don't wear sheets and they come out and they say exactly what they mean in terms of racism.
Yeah.
Another thing too is like Greg just said, the ICE thing is ridiculous
Yeah.
because they are just using that to rid themselves of people of color. It has nothing to do in most cases with people that had broken the law.
Right.
It has to do with let's minimize the melanin population because we want this country to be more white. And
Okay.
that's another thing I think I could say that has been up and center this year of how they are consistently trying to attack people of color. And then, they brought in the South Africans that supposedly were being discriminated against in their country. I really expected more mass of that, but you see, that has quietened down. And
Yeah.
so there's so much, there's just so much that's going on that people don't know. Here's another one in terms of the farmers.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of farmers are losing their land.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's by design because
Mm-hmm.
guess who's buying up the property?
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
Your vice president.
Yeah. Yeah. He's buying it up.
And so one thing I can say is that the Republicans have had a plan for a very long time and they stuck together and they got exactly what they've been wanting and they are initiating their plans.
Yeah.
Their opponents act like they're still asleep
Yeah.
and they better wake up and they better wake up
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. I totally agree. I'm gonna go back to something you said about the South Africans coming over. This is what I'm gonna ask both of you all. Like, did you all expect for him to? We heard about the idea of like people from Sweden and the different European countries coming over here. Did you all expect him to bring the white South Africans?
No.
I think that was
I
done by
don't
the
think he brought enough to make a difference. He just
well,
brought the one that would destroy the whole country.
well, yeah. I mean, he didn't. It wasn't to make a difference. It was to make a blatant point because
Yes.
going to I have two that were like defining policies that bothered me, and one was with Doge. So when Doge started changing policies there, they let this agency And this agency didn't have to be federal hired workers. It was an independent
Mm-hmm.
agency. So that's one thing. Well, with Doge, I have posted about this several times on our our Facebook group that we have. That I was mentioning how you had Peter Thiel, you had this guy. I can't think of the guy's name right now. Dang it. But Peter Thiel was one of the main ones. But it's another guy, David. I can't think of David's last name. But these guys were all from South Africa as well. They're billionaires. They run companies. They grew up with Elon Musk in apartheid South Africa. They have been pushing this claim about the white South Africans being mistreated and genocide of white South Africans, which was all as we know was a fabricated story. It's no different than the uh, the Haitians eating people over in Springfield, Ohio. Is no different than the Somalians, are garbage because they're the ones going through fraud. As we found out, there was a lady who was a white lady who had the largest fraud case in history in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? She had a whole thing. It was like $250 million. She only had to pay back like 5.2 million. But with the Doge thing, the main thing about the policies they did was when they shut down USAID. I don't know how many people
Hmm.
realize that
USAID.
USAID was building a case against Elon Musk for improper practices within his companies. That was the first one he closed up, if you remember. That was the first agency that he shut down. The first amount of money that just he shut down. Now the question is, where did that money go? The government is
In
holding on
their
to that.
pockets.
The government is holding on to that money, but the whole purpose was him to get that shut down, so he was not going to go through any hearings and cases about his companies. So if you know, a lot of these Tesla battery plants, the main thing is they use up water and energy, and most of them are in these little small towns. So if there's a tragedy that happens or a catastrophe in those little towns, it's been said because they got one here in Texas. There's the battery plant here. It's already said that that battery plant will have priority over the water resources in that town. That means those people can
Hmm.
go out without water, but yet the battery plant will still function. So that was one policy that to me impacts people because USAID helps so many organizations around the globe, including locally. So that was a big impact. The
Mm.
second impact to me was getting back to what you all said about the FAFO, was that those who voted for this
Hmm.
administration and didn't think it was going to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned about ICE agents. If you recall, ICE ICE have detained and exported more nonviolent criminals than they
Mm-hmm.
said they were going to do in their campaign speeches. The campaign speeches, they were going after the worst of the worst of the worst criminals. MS-13. What's that? Trey. What's that? Trey something. Cartoon, that gang, the one that he can't stand. Now these gangs, I've yet to hear anybody that's been arrested from these gangs. I'm not saying they haven't, but that's not what they've been publicizing. So the people we see snatched up off the street, the one that you got the video footage of, they're not in the gang.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have. If anything, they did. They might have came in the country illegally. They might have been here since they was a kid. The one that got me the most was a video I played a while back um, of the military. They had a hearing with Benny Thompson. I don't know if y'all saw that one. The hearing with Benny Thompson.
I
He was
did.
questioning the FBI, Christy Nome, about why do you have people who fought in our military who have been deported? These people have been
Right.
here since they was a kid, joined our military. These are like wounded veterans, and you deport them, and there's no justification for that whatsoever. So, not
Right.
saying they voted for the administration, but what I'm saying is that to show you how this administration is acting. So some of those that have been swept up, a lot of those were who supported Trump. And you can say the same thing about the
Mm-hmm.
Somalians. There's a lot of Somalians who are getting caught up in all this. They're trash and they're garbage. They need to get out of the country. voted for Trump, and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't think this was going to happen to us. Hispanics, same thing. You know, all these people, and so those were defining policy things that happened, and it impacts, and it's a trickle down effect because you can get rid of one person. Now you might have an American, and then their spouses is an immigrant. You trickle down. You send that spouse overseas to Nigeria. They're sending them to El Salvador. They're sending them to Honduras and all these other places. What happens to that kid if they have a family? What happens to the household income that other person was bringing into the family? Now that family has to now take money out of their account, out of their savings or their bank account or mortgage or home just to
If they have
if they
one,
have one.
If they have one.
because most of those people probably don't.
No, but there were some families. They were living normal people in homes, had mortgages. You know, a lot.
But I'm just saying, those are probably the ones that are less likely to have that big savings account that when they're snatched away, that their families have to survive
Yeah.
on after they're snatched out of the country.
With those that do have homes, they will have to then put out a second mortgage or sell their home just to have money to fight the court cases, to try to work with attorneys to get those people back. That was the point I
But
was
you,
leading to.
yeah, but you know what, Lamar?
Hmm.
It's even deeper than that. You have what you're describing here.
Yeah.
It's not just immigrants that are having that
Oh, it's
problem.
people right here. Yeah,
A
right.
lo- right, I have a cousin. I didn't even realize this. A lady called my mother today, and she was asking my mother, did she see that my cousin had put up on her Facebook page? She said GoFundMe. It's not a GoFundMe
Mhm.
account, but it's similar.
Yeah.
And the reason she did that is because she went to school, got her degree in education.
Mm.
And so she expected to be able, and she lives upstate
Mm.
in Portland, Oregon. So
Okay.
she expected to be able to get a job.
Hmm.
Well, since she finished her degree, she hasn't been able to get a permanent position.
Mm.
And she had a substitute position,
Yeah.
but now that the Christmas holidays is over and school has opened back up, she hasn't been able to get an assignment.
Yeah.
And so now she's worried that she's not going to be able to pay her
Yeah.
mortgage. So it's happening to your
Mhm.
and I can tell you I'm just blessed that I have the family support that I have,
Yeah.
because now I'm going on 2 years
Yeah.
of unemployment,
Right.
and my severance pay has run out,
Mm.
my unemployment has run out.
Hmm.
And so that's what I mean by I had to think of other unconventional ways to earn
Hmm.
income.
Yeah. No, definitely. So, what about this one?
Mm.
Policy, participation. Oh, wait, democracy, participation, public voice. So, in 2025, we want to. What did 2025 reveal about civic engagement? Who felt empowered? Who felt ignored? How did misinformation, political messaging, or media framing shape how people understood major events? And what moments this year challenge your assumption about what democracy looks like in real time? Now, Greg, we talked about this previously in briefly in the pre-show. So this your moment talking about that how
Yeah,
that
but we
freedom
were
of
coming
speech.
from a different
Yeah,
direction,
but
see,
what
because
about freedom of
when
speech?
you look at the recipe for a cake, you get all of these things and you put in the batter
Yeah,
and then you put it in the oven.
yeah.
See, we are in the oven now. And let's talk about all the little things that have been put in the batter.
Yeah.
Because everything that's been happening since the first Trump administration is what they're cooking now.
Hmm.
And now we have somebody that's
Mm.
off the hook that has felt that it was okay for me to go into another country,
Wait, go.
kidnap
Go
their
back. Let's
sitting.
get back to public voice. This is where it's at. Public
That's a
voice.
public voice, right? That's a public voice.
What's the
That's
public?
what.
What's the public voice
And
part
but
of that though?
the news is normalizing it now. They make it an issue that is taking. Let's take the stories off, and we gotta see what's going on in the courtroom and make this all sensational
Right.
because I need to keep you watching
Right.
because I'm not going to say that they're wrong because they're wrong.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on
But
that.
if I say they're wrong, I might get fired. I don't want to end up having to look for somebody to pay my
So
mortgage.
how's that shaping us? So how's that shaping people who's viewing this? How's that shaping them?
It shapes everybody to not care. It destroys a sense of community.
I like that.
We no longer look at people as human. Every human makes mistakes, makes bad judgments. We got children that we trying to raise. You want to beat your child if they lie to you, but you listen to lies all the time.
Yeah.
You done taught them that lying is okay. Like I said, it's all in the batter.
You're right.
We talking about separating the batter. So that was me. That's
No,
where I
I
was
got
going
you in
with
that,
it.
but stay there with me. So in that batter, in that oven where the batter is all jacked up and we on fire right now, the pan getting too hot at the bottom. We can't even the cake can't even settle right because of the heat is uneven, right? The heat is uneven. During this time, with the way who you think feel ignored, even with this situation you just said about going to another country and everything, snatching folks up, who was ignored during this moment?
Your neighbor,
How?
because you don't care about your neighbor.
Well, you just
You so
said like
focused.
just
You
look at your
so
part of it.
focused on keeping your head down, taking care of your immediate responsibilities. You don't pay attention to what's going on around you. It's your neighbors that suffer.
So you're saying
See,
that okay? So if they're being distracted by what's in the media, they're being distracted because that's how you mentioned they're being distracted by how they're portraying this on the media. Why are they even watching it then if they're ignoring? You know what I'm saying? If they
because
got their head down.
they've been trained to get that dopamine fix. Ooh, let me see what I like. Let me see what I like. Look, here, I saw this clip, and now I think I know something. Ain't nobody ran a darn book.
Right.
Nobody read a darn book. You know, we can go through, and you and I are on the same platforms, so we understand the importance of reading.
Yeah.
I still have my mom and dad, and my mom at 91 years old will help somebody study and tutor them in nursing, but the kid that asked for it don't want to read the book. I just need you to teach me how to answer the
Just answer the
questions.
questions. Yeah. That
See,
I
so
agree with.
now we got a whole education system that
Mhm.
says, give me the answer.
Mhm.
You know, I need the cliff notes. I need to take the test when the glory is in your mind.
And
You
I'm
can
with you
come
on
to
that.
an understanding.
Yeah.
So this whole thing is messed up. We need to just turn off the oven and throw that mess in the
I
trash.
agree. I agree.
As a friend of mine would say, let it all burn down. Let's
Right.
build it up right.
Right.
But you're not going to take away my humanity, and I'm still going to care about whether you eat,
Mhm.
whether you have a place to live, if it's safe for my grandson to see Papa do what he does. Because I'm not trying to hide nothing. He knows that Papa's word is his word.
Mhm.
Now he don't forget, but that's what we have to do.
And
Look,
when you
y'all.
were talking about that though, you were right on point with that because about the about reading the book and understanding, the media does distract you with
Be
showing you
ready
this
in just
repeated
a minute.
versions of stuff. But if they sit back and just take one each every time something comes up that I don't know about, I do research on it because you got to understand that majority of the time everything we see is repeated already. So you can compare this whole situation that just happened with this whole situation with Maduro, you could take that back to the same thing they did with Noriega. You could take this all the way back to what they did with Saddam Hussein.
Keep
Most of
going.
these situations,
Batista in Cuba.
Cuba, and the thing about it is that we go in, we dismantle these countries, and it's always the same narrative. We're coming to fix something that's corrupt
Hmm.
when we go in and we create the corruption. And it's always for
And we are
But
just as corrupted.
that's what I'm saying. We're creating them. We're taking our corrupt self into those countries. So the thing about it is that every time we do that, those countries never come back proper. They say they're going to rebuild. Iraq ain't been rebuilt yet. Afghanistan has not been rebuilt. No process of it's been rebuilt. But you will
you
see,
can't tell people how to live.
right? But you will go
People
back.
have
But
the right to
I
self-determination,
agree.
and because they've gotten away with chattel slavery, they think they can do that across the board. Look, I love you guys. It's my dad's time, and I have to check out,
Got you.
but I will be back for Grace and Ground.
Got you. Got you. Got you.
Grace and Grit in
Right.
progress.
Appreciate
All right.
that.
all right.
Appreciate that. You gonna stick
But
around with
look,
me for a little bit, Sharon?
yeah, I can stick around for a little
Yeah.
bit. But what I was gonna say is
Mhm.
that they don't care. They don't care about rebuilding.
No,
That's not
exactly.
what the
That's the
intent
point.
is.
That's the point I'm
It's
making.
to strip them of the resources that they have
Hmm.
that I want, and I have promised some corporate donors that I was going to give them
Hmm.
access to this country so that they can strip the country of their resources. That's what it's all
Yeah.
about. Because if you really were about building, all you have to do is follow people's actions.
Yeah.
If you were really about building, why did you tear your country down? Why are you
Yeah.
tearing it up? Why are
Yeah.
you messing up your own country's infrastructure?
Yeah.
No, you want resources. That's the
That's the
bottom
bottom
line.
line. It's not gonna help anybody but those that are like first thing he said, we're gonna take the oil. He told you what he was doing. He
Right,
gonna take charge of the country. So
right.
when we do that, that country suffers. The people there suffer.
Mm-hmm.
We suffer because now we're putting our resources for our country over there. Now the thing that now people have mixed feelings about this, especially with the Maduro thing, because you have those that, many people are happy that he's gone, yes. But what they're unhappy about is how the United States did it and the
Mm-hmm.
United States sticking around to run the country. That's what they're upset
But I,
about.
I don't I don't think they're gonna run the country. I really don't.
It's going to be it's going to be some mess because they don't want to give up that power down there.
Right,
Who would? I
right,
mean, you're doing the same
right.
thing. The same thing is happening like over in Nigeria in those areas with um the name skips me now. Dang it. Dang it, I can't think of his name. The African leader that's over there in the Mali area in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Um is it Burkina
I
Mafaso?
I
So
I don't know.
it's on the tip of my tongue. It's like I can't. I know the guy's name. I've been saying it now. I can't say it right. But they're doing the whole thing where they're now making it where those that are there have to have certain types of visa now to work over there, to do work, to travel there. They're doing the same
Mm-hmm.
thing that America is doing to them coming over here.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when they went in and bombed. They said they were bombing terrorists that were hurting and killing Christians over there. They're killing Christians. They're killing Muslims. They're killing different people. It's terrorism, period. But the narrative that they were killing Christians. The thing about it, you're bombing over there. They're trying to do the same thing. They're going to try to go over there, like they're going to fix some stuff, but they're going after the resources. So we know how rich Africa is in resources.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to see
And
that
that's what
change.
it's all. That's the way it's all
Yeah,
about.
definitely.
They tell us all the time, just follow the money.
So how you
The
think?
money
Go ahead.
are the resources.
How do you think all this now is going to impact from a global standpoint? How are countries looking at the United States in their conversations from a global standpoint about what's happening now? I mean, from everything from the beginning of the year to just what happened this past weekend.
sometimes I wonder if they're looking at the leadership or the citizens as well, saying, okay, this is what kind of leadership you want. Not understanding everybody is not for this type of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But I think other countries now are probably talking behind doors how if something if they try to infiltrate their countries, how they're going to defend themselves.
Right.
And I think it's weakening our stance with our allies
Mm-hmm.
because we are doing things that are contradictory in terms of our allyships that we've had
Mm-hmm.
for a very long time. And I don't think they know how to take us anymore
Yeah.
because they don't know what's going to come. What's he going to do next?
Mm-hmm.
There's no rhyme and reason to the actions that are being taken, and it makes everybody vulnerable. It makes
Right.
this country vulnerable, the citizens vulnerable, and other countries vulnerable as well
Yeah.
because now they have to think of course, one of the things we do know is stronger countries will not be treated the way he did
Oh no, he's
Venezuela.
too scared to. He's a coward on that. He won't face up
Right.
to
eh,
China's president or North Korea or Putin. He won't do that.
Right. Right.
He's not gonna do
Right.
that.
And exactly. Now, I wanted to touch back on something you talk
Mm-hmm.
about in terms of media. This is a question that has been pondering me.
Mm-hmm.
We know that a lot of the Republicans are buying up the media so
Mm-hmm.
that they can control the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
So, my question is, are there not any rich Democrats out there that can counter that? Why aren't they countering it? Why aren't they buying up some of the media so that they can have a balance? Because if they allow this to continue, it's going to weaken their efforts even more. And one of the things that I'm seeing is every time you turn around, there are stories that are being posted, and then you go and try to validate it, and they are not true. I just saw one today that said that China's president had told Trump to release Venezuelan's president.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to fact checked it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not true.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what's happening now is you having all of this stuff that's being put out there that's not true. But I really don't understand is why there aren't any Democrats that are coming together and saying, you know what, we got to counter this. We got to buy some media as well, so we have something that will be a positive or something that would be fact checked. And but I also wonder, are they afraid to even do it because of the censorship that's being done now?
Yeah.
But I think they need to do something versus just allowing people that want to control the narrative to control people's
Yeah.
minds. I think there needs to be a counter to that, and I'm just not understanding why there's no counter.
Well, I'm gonna bring some clarity to that. So it goes all the way back. You could go all the way back to Byron Allen buying up. He has a lot of stations, but it's not about because you have the networks. The thing about it is you have people like Viacom, Cox, uh, what's the other one? All the cable networks, the companies that put the cable stations on your TV, they control what you put on there. So, for instance, like Roland Martin has his own network. Why can't he get it on cable? Because they're not allowing him to put it on there. So Byron Allen had all these stations.
But but
Go ahead.
but that's my point though. Why are there not people that can come together and be the powerhouse that they are?
It's it's bigger than that. You got to then go through the FCC. All these things. It's not about that you don't have the money to do it. It's that they won't. The powers that be that
And
run this
and I and
won't
I
let you.
and
Like
I guess my point is what you just said. Yes, it's hard for them now, but this is something they should have thought about and done before this administration got in. And that's what I'm saying is
yeah, they have
why
been.
during that time that they were saw this being built up the way it is, why didn't there are some people that have the money that could have come together to counter this
So
when the timing was better for them to do it, and I don't understand why that didn't
so
happen.
you're looking at, if you think about it, the leading. I'm gonna look them up right now. The leading.
And I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying from that point of who has the power in it now, but all I'm saying is along the way there should have been some forces to come together to counter that so that it did not become such a monopoly as it is right now. I just never understood that why there wasn't a counter when it was viable for them to do it, that they just continued to allow it to happen.
If you like, that's that's like saying, okay, you. That's like if you have, so you have companies that's you're buying your cable from. The biggest ones, AT&T, Spectrum. Those are like Cox Cable. Those are some of the biggest ones. Now they're owned by another entity. It's like three entities. So you got cable
I
companies.
mean, I mean, I understand all
Comcast.
that.
Comcast is the other
Yeah,
one. So
yeah, I
how do
understand
you
all of
how
that,
do you
but
get it there though? How do you, even if you
yeah,
got the money, like if you, even if you got the money, that means you're gonna get your whole. You have to take your whole platform. So instead of you buying AT&T, you're gonna buy Sharon Ellis Cable.
but that's more.
That's the only way you're gonna get it.
I guess what I'm getting at is I just feel that before it happened, there should have been forces that was seeing the trend, seeing it happening. And I just don't understand why, when it was viable for them to come together and counter it, they just didn't see, the big picture of where we are now, is what I'm saying is. And um I just feel at some point there should have been a group of individuals that said, you know what, we can't let them have the whole monopoly on this. We need to come together and put together a company that's going to counter
Yeah,
this negative narrative that's being set up
yeah.
for America.
That's been. I don't think that it hasn't been thought about because this has been going on before TV existed. It was with radio, then when TV started. So you think about this. Majority of these companies were already. You got to think. Remember, they're always going to be for the rich. So just like we know now with TV, they're the whole every network, every company, every cable company, even MSNBC, all of them are catering to a particular audience. The difference is that after these lawsuits came out with Trump recently, is when they seen people
Hmm.
getting fired. So to me, those people getting fired from these cable networks, to me, was the best thing because now they have an unfiltered network online.
Right. They're
So
creating their own.
they created their
So
own.
you know what, Lamar?
Mhm.
That being said, I think you helped me with answering my question, because I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, older people may have challenges
Hmm.
accessing those streaming
I
networks,
agree.
but younger people are more involved with it.
Hmm.
So I think over time, what's going to happen is the older people will eventually be off the scene, and the younger people are going to be relying more on the streaming
Yeah.
services. They're going to, over time, I feel that they will lose the power that they have right now.
Yeah.
Now, even though my mother is 92, she relies on me
Hmm.
because every day is Sharon. She might not understand how to get to YouTube,
Yeah.
but she's gonna pull me whatever I'm doing. She's gonna say, "Come and put YouTube. I gotta see Roland Martin."
Yeah.
And when I pull up urban radio and I'm
Yeah.
listening to Clay Kane,
Yeah.
Karen Hunter, Dr. Carr,
Yeah.
Lamont Hill, um, then she's sitting here listening to it with me.
Yeah.
So I rely a lot on those entities to give me a more unbiased
Yeah.
news report.
And I challenge people all the time. And that's what it bothers me so much. Because you can have when I have a conversation with people, especially when it becomes a almost like a debated discussion, and you ask a person like, where do you get that information from? Or not even how do you get the information from? I could propose a topic. We could talk about the situation with say the Somalians, for instance, those that voted for Donald Trump, and now he flipped the script on them and called them garbage. And we're in that conversation, and I asked a person, "Well, did you do any research on that? Did you check that out?" They're telling me their opinion, but they haven't looked up nothing.
Right.
So this goes back to what you were saying with your mom, how she'll ask you to look something up. If people don't look at diverse media, when I say that, like my diverse media is, I'm looking at um, MAGA media, I'm looking at black media, I'm looking at liberal media, conservative media, I'm looking at the in between media. I'm looking at all those because they're all going to give you a different viewpoint of it, a different perspective. The thing that can't change with a different perspective is the facts within that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
If a man got shot because he was running from the cops and he got shot in the back, one perspective might be, well, why did he run? That ain't the point. The point is he got shot in the back. Another
Mm-hmm.
perspective might be he had a right not to answer a question to the police, and the police had no reason to stop him. It doesn't change the fact he got shot in the back. So you can have 6 different perspectives. The facts can't change in those perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can walk around it, you can talk around it, but you can always come back to the facts of what happened because
Right.
they're telling. So, but if you're looking at it only from a couple of different media viewpoints, now you're going to become a person that's swayed by either totally against what they're talking about because you're just so totally opposition, or you're totally for it. If you're, I mean, it's going to be either one. But if you have that diverse look at it, you can come to some objective conclusions saying, you know what, that person was wrong for running. But at the same time, the cop had no right to shoot him in the back. The
Mm-hmm.
two different things can still be right at the same time. And so that's what it comes to when we looking at media, when you're looking at
Right.
these companies. So you got to look at a little, and I don't know too many people who are not melanated who look at black media. They feel that, well, why should I look at that? And I'm encouraging people, get a different perspective. Even when we're on the same page, we believe the same way. Listen to that different perspective because we are in agreement. Look at that perspective because you're going to find some things within that perspective to make you sit back and say, wow, I didn't think about it that way. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
think about that. And I do the same thing with MAGA media. There are some things with people that support Donald Trump that are like all in, and they'll present something to me that I'm like, okay, I got you. I understand where you're coming from. That don't mean that what you're cheering for is right, but you
Mm-hmm.
understand why you're cheering because a lot of them feel
Mm-hmm.
like they got a lost voice. Their voice is not being heard. But the ones that know the difference but refuse to accept it are those from these poor states we talked about earlier: Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky, West Virginia. They're being impacted, but they're too prideful to say I was wrong. That's what's
Mm.
hurting them. And they definitely would not
Mm-hmm.
look at no other media because they have to stay where they're at because that's where they feel accepted. If they change over here and see a different perspective that makes them change their mind, they're going to be conflicted. They've been rolling with Trump since 2015, you know. And right now
Yeah.
you're saying, well, only way that's going to change is when they get sick in the hospital, they ain't got no health care, or they
Mm-hmm.
work for the federal government and lose that job.
Right.
They're in the
Right.
reality kick because you see them now on TikTok. They talking now. The farmers, they
Mm-hmm.
talking.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
it took that to make them. But if they had looked at
And
other
you know
media,
what? It's funny what you just said is because see what's gonna happen now is white farmers are now gonna experience what black farmers been
yeah,
experiencing all the time.
yeah.
You know?
Imagine if some of these farmers had teamed up with John Boyd 5 years ago.
Hmm.
Can you
Hmm.
imagine the power they would have together?
Yep. Yep.
You know, they didn't care about John Boyd and the people he represented because they were like, well, I got mine. I ain't worried about them.
Mm-hmm.
But if they had
Yep.
teamed up with them, even if they had just, it's not about the money for the ones, the white farmers, but if they had teamed up for the cause, teamed up to
Mm-hmm.
help them fight for their money that they deserved, fight for the land they deserved. If they had
Yep.
just teamed up with them, they would be more powerful when they go to these hearings at the Capitol building to discuss what's happening. When John Boyd go, they right there with him. Now you see unified farmers. Now
But you
they
know
hurting.
what? What you just said is what a lot of white people don't understand is they were conditioned
Yeah,
to hate people of color. They were conditioned to do that because the people were afraid that if they united with
yeah,
people of color, then they would have a real fight on their hands. But they want to keep people divided and they don't understand how they've been played for a very long
right. Well,
time.
the government don't want
And
that
I
unity.
don't know,
The
huh?
government doesn't want that unity.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they throw
And
those
I
distractions.
don't know if this will finally help out with some of them,
Yeah,
but if they realize, you know what? I get it now. That black man really ain't my enemy.
yeah,
It's you rich folks. You are the true enemy.
yeah,
And so I don't know. Probably now they may get that wake up call.
yeah. I mean, it's there. I mean, you go all the way back to the Black Panthers. They had created unity with the white, Hispanic, the Polish, the German communities. All of them were united with black people at that time. They were part of the Black Panthers. They were all
Mm,
coming up with this unified stance against the way the government was policing these communities. But when they
mm-hmm.
saw that unity, they was threatened. That's when they put
Right.
the mole in, to go ahead and cause problems and got everybody killed. So that goes
And
for every time.
they do that every time. Every time we gain some
Yeah.
power, that always happens.
I mean, look at Black Lives Matter. Okay, I'm not talking about the organization. I'm talking about the movement, the global movement. You saw
Mm-hmm.
whites, blacks, rich, poor, corporate, non-corporate. All these people were in support of. But what did they do? They created a negative perception of Black Lives Matter. That's where
Yep.
the DEI and the woke conversation start being completely distorted. Again, to divide a group of people that were unified. And that unification is stronger than any government. The
Yep.
unification can
And
overthrow a government. You know what I'm saying?
and that's what they did because during the George Floyd movement, that's what happened.
Yeah.
It united black and white.
Yeah.
It opened up a lot of whites' eyes to what was really being done to a lot of black people.
Yeah.
And so it united them. So what they said was, "Uh-oh, we got to break this up."
Yeah.
And so that's what MAGA did.
Yeah.
MAGA broke it up.
Yeah. And I'm not even gonna put it all on MAGA. It was one man
Well,
that
I'm
I
just
mean,
saying that's part of the movement
no,
that
you're right.
started to break it up.
No, you're right. But I'm gonna narrow it down to one particular person who created the division. And I've been saying this for 2-3 years now. Christopher Rufo. Christopher Rufo. That name. Look him up, Google him. Look at his
That's the guy. I'm trying to remember. Didn't he shoot somebody?
no. This
No,
guy's from
I'm
Seattle,
thinking about.
Washington. He's from Seattle, Washington. He created a firestorm on Twitter by saying, he said it, anything that they do for the black community that empowers the black community that they look at for good, we're gonna change it and turn it to bad. that's when the DEI, the negative context of DEI and woke began. And so he
Oh.
got hired by the Manhattan Institute. I think it's called Manhattan Project, Manhattan Institute, the think tank, where he created policies there. Those policies then got headed down to the Heritage Foundation. So what they did during Trump's administration, the first administration, they was going to these town hall meetings in these different communities, and they're presenting these policies. They're creating the thing. If you remember that college in Florida, remember how they changed? They had that whole board got changed to eliminate
Mm-hmm.
DEI in Florida. Christopher Rufo, that's him. And so if
Wow.
you just when y'all get a chance, go to YouTube, Google, do a YouTube search for Christopher Rufo and Joy Reid. Joy Reid chopped that dude down, and she was not going to allow him to lie on her segment of MSNBC. But Christopher Rufo and Joy Reid, look that conversation up. He's had plenty of them
Okay.
with other people, but that one, I think he was even on Roland Martin once. But that's a devil right there, in my opinion.
Okay. Okay.
And also, Michael Harriot discusses him. Just look up on YouTube, Michael Harriot, Christopher Rufo. He talks about him. He gives you a big
Okay.
insight on that. But man, we had a lot going on. We went over an hour. Didn't mean to do that, but that was good.
It was. It really
That was
was.
good. Kind of hope.
It was good to get back into it since it has been a while,
Yeah.
and especially it's a new year now.
I'm hoping that people will tune into this. We're going to try to do this on Mondays, you guys. So if you could tune in on Mondays evening, same time, we're going to try to bring you something. It's going to be about an hour show. Hopefully no more than an hour. We want to go down, an hour or less. But we're bringing new stuff to us to this podcast stage with what we're talking about. We don't want to make it to where everyone's focused on, a racism thing, but we want to give you a different perspective from how we see it. And it is up to you to do the research to check it out. So with that being said, we're gonna roll out with my new song.
Yo. GGP, y'all ready?
Welcome to the space where the truth gets spoken. Trap snares popping, hands up, energy open. Where the chains get broken and the culture stays golden. We move with grit, say grit. We rise with grace, say grits. We push for progress. Progress. No justice.
No sleep.
Snare snapping, keep that bounce.